Welcome to US Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: a fire at a wedding hall in northern Iraq has killed more than 100 people and injured 150. Hollywood's writers went on strike for 148 days. Here's what they won. Writers Guild of America calls off strike after backing agreement. Ionescu and Laney help Liberty beat Sun 84-77 to even semifinals series at 1-1. Not just for pandas, China bets on bamboo in green transition from plastics. A fire at a wedding hall in northern Iraq has killed more than 100 people and injured 150. The Toronto Star. At least 100 people have died and 150 have been injured after a fire broke out at a wedding hall in northern Iraq. The fire occurred in the predominantly Christian area of Hamdaniya, outside Mosul. The death toll may rise further, and a formal investigation into the cause of the blaze has been launched. Hollywood's writers went on strike for 148 days. Here's what they won. The Sydney Morning Herald. Hollywood writers in the U.S. will resume work on Wednesday after union leaders voted unanimously to end their strike. The writers, who are members of the Writers Guild of America, will vote on a proposed contract until October 9. The deal includes higher minimum pay rates, improved staffing in writers' rooms and raises in residual payments. It also provides some protections regarding the use of artificial intelligence in scriptwriting, with the studios required to disclose if AI has been used and writers given the right to sue if their work is used without permission. Writers Guild of America calls off strike after backing agreement. The Independent. Writers in Hollywood have called off strikes following a contract agreement with studio bosses. The Writers Guild of America, WGA, voted to accept the deal with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, AMPTP, which represents studios, streaming services, and producers. Late-night talk shows are expected to be the first to resume. The writers still have to vote to ratify the contract. Ionescu and Laney help Liberty beat Sun 84-77 to even semifinals series at 1-1. The Toronto Star. The New York Liberty defeated the Connecticut Sun 84-77 in Game 2 of the WNBA playoff semifinals to even the series at 1-1. Sabrina Ionescu led the Liberty with 21 points, while Betnijah Laney added 20 points, including key three-pointers in the fourth quarter. Breanna Stewart scored 11 points for the Sun, but missed 10 of her 13 field goal attempts. Game 3 will take place on Friday night in Connecticut. Not just for pandas, China bets on bamboo in green transition from plastics. South China Morning Post. Sunlin Biotechnology, a Chinese company, is leading the way in manufacturing degradable bags and straws from bamboo. Bamboo is an ideal alternative to plastic as it grows rapidly and is fully degradable. Despite this, high manufacturing costs and low public acceptance are still hindering the growth of the industry. The Chinese government is working to reduce plastic consumption and has banned supermarkets and shopping malls from providing free single-use plastic bags to shoppers. However, plastic bags are still common in many locations and are supplied for free in wet markets. The war in Ukraine is also a giant arms fair. Wall Street Journal. The war in Ukraine has become the world's largest arms fair, allowing manufacturers and militaries to analyze the battlefield performance of weapons and learn how to best use them. The deployment of billions of dollars worth of equipment in a major land war has given companies that manufacture the weapons being used in Ukraine the opportunity to win orders and resurrect production lines. The war has also affected procurement decisions for the UK, according to General Patrick Sanders, the head of the British Army. Sanders said that one lesson from Ukraine has been the importance of being able to do battlefield repairs. The war has proven how fast barrels wear out, and Rheinmetall has tripled its production of gun barrels for armored fighting vehicles. The M777 howitzer has proven to be more reliable than the Panzerhaubitze, but is also more vulnerable to attack. TikTok employees say executive moves to U.S. show China parents' role. Wall Street Journal. TikTok employees are worried about the app's ties to its parent company, ByteDance, according to current and former employees. A series of high-ranking executives from ByteDance have transferred to the popular video-sharing app's U.S. operations, sparking concerns that ByteDance plays a larger role in TikTok's operations than it has publicly disclosed. TikTok has faced scrutiny from U.S. authorities over fears that the Chinese government could use the app to collect data on its users or spread propaganda. In 2020, the Trump administration attempted to ban TikTok in the U.S. The Biden administration has also called for ByteDance to sell its stake in the company. TikTok has fought against both administrations' demands while trying to demonstrate its independence from its Chinese parent. However, the transfer of executives from ByteDance has raised concerns among some in the company that TikTok is not as separate from ByteDance as it has claimed. The Blue Jays look more like who we thought they were lately, even as they let one slip away against the Yankees. The Toronto Star. A sense of calm, a chill confidence, a lightness of being. And no, that assuredness of purpose for the Blue Jays wasn't remotely shaken by a 2-0 loss at home to the New York Yankees. Though, geez, a 40,000-plus crowd at the Rogers Center would like to have been spared yet another off-kilter performance by closer Jordan Romano. His first pitch fastball to Austin Wells, an opposite field two-run jack in the ninth, landed in the Blue Jays bullpen. Cracked nail wasn't to blame this time either. The life of a closer is tough, observed manager John Schneider afterward. You have to have a short memory. Squint, however, and a different Blue Jays hologram comes into view, a team playing hugely significant games in the last week of the regular season schedule. A fortnight ago, after that plug-ugly sweep here by the Texas Rangers, the team faithful would have got down on their knees in gratitude for such a scenario unfolding. It took the Blue Jays 25 weeks to find their sweet spot. They'll not lose it in one night of shutout ball. Rather late in the day for stars and spirits and performance to align, admittedly. It's never too late, said Bo Bichette, with conviction in his eyes, even rocking a cliché in the cradle. Could be by around, 1 a.m. Thursday? When Toronto might clinch a wild card spot, depending how fates and fortunes shake out in distant cities, some in the chase clubs grinding it out against each other down to the wire. Nice mise-en-scene for the Jays, as the out-of-town scoreboard has been very, very good to them lately. In any event, unlikely that these players would be together for a late-night celebration, if and when. I'll FaceTime you with a beer, offered Schneider, when that potential storyline was put to him by a member of the Fourth Estate. China's outreach to Syria signals aim to be West's counterweight in Middle East. South China Morning Post. The recent meeting between Chinese President Xi Jinping and Syrian President Bashar al-Assad marks a significant turning point in China-Syria relations. While Western countries continue to ostracize Assad, regional powers in the Middle East have extended a cautious welcome to him. China's support for Assad is rooted in its concerns about the spread of the Arab Spring and its apprehension about Uyghur extremists joining jihadist organizations in Syria. China has also pledged substantial investments in Syria's reconstruction. However, economic and financial engagement with Syria has been declining, and it remains uncertain whether substantial investments will flow into the country in the near future. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich honored at alma mater as he nears 6 months detained in Russia. Wall Street Journal. Friends and colleagues of journalist Evan Gershkovich gathered at Bowdoin College in Maine to honor the Wall Street Journal reporter, who has been detained in Russia on allegations of espionage since March. Gershkovich, an American citizen, was accredited as a journalist by Russia's foreign ministry at the time of his detention. The U.S. government has declared him wrongfully detained, and the Journal and Biden administration have called for his release. The U.S. is currently engaged in discussions with Russia to secure Gershkovich's release. Alabama lawmakers vote to move forward with construction of new state house. Associated Press. Lawmakers in Alabama have voted to move forward with the construction of a new state house to replace their current space, which is plagued with mold and other problems. The proposed building would be located on the site of a parking lot behind the existing state house. The estimated cost for the project is not yet known, but lawmakers will have the option to pull out of the construction agreement if they decide the price tag is too high. The current state house has been plagued with issues, including black mold, chronic flooding, and outdated electrical systems. House Oversight Republicans say new bank subpoena shows Hunter Biden-listed father's Wilmington house in wires with China. CNN. The Republican-led House Oversight Committee has issued a subpoena to a bank for Hunter Biden's records and obtained 2 wire transfers from Chinese nationals to Hunter Biden in 2019 that listed President Joe Biden's Delaware home as the beneficiary address. The subpoena is the first time the committee has issued a subpoena to a bank for Hunter Biden's records specifically. The committee still plans to issue subpoenas to Hunter and James Biden, the president's brother, for their personal and business records. However, the wires allegedly were addressed to Hunter Biden when his father was not in office and do not prove that Joe Biden received any of the money. Rojas hits RBI single in 10th, sending Phillies past Pirates 3-2 and clinching wildcard berth. Associated Press. Johan Rojas hit an RBI single in the 10th inning that sent the Philadelphia Phillies to a 3-2 win over the Pittsburgh Pirates on Tuesday night to clinch a National League wildcard berth. Brian Reynolds and Henry Davis hit homers for the Pirates. Oregon Governor Kotek directs state police to crack down on fentanyl distribution. Associated Press. Oregon Governor Tina Kotek has directed the state police to implement new strategies to disrupt the fentanyl supply chain and hold sellers accountable. The plans include increasing and reallocating state police staff to local drug enforcement teams, holding trainings with the Oregon Department of Justice, and leading interagency patrols that focus on intercepting fentanyl using drug dogs and detectives. A pilot project using a data-driven approach to identifying drug and alcohol-impaired drivers will also be extended. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid and the leading cause of death for Americans ages 18 to 49. More than 100,000 deaths a year in the U.S. have been tied to drug overdoses since 2020, and about two-thirds of those are related to fentanyl. Hollywood writers' deal may set a template for talks with striking actors. Reuters. The tentative deal reached between Hollywood writers and major studios, which includes improved minimum pay and increased streaming residuals, could serve as a template for actors who have been on strike since mid-July. Both writers and actors share concerns about higher pay and the use of artificial intelligence, AI, in entertainment. Negotiations between the Actors Union, SAG-AFTRA, and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers have not taken place since the summer, but industry executives hope that talks will resume soon. Actors are also seeking limits on self-taped auditions, more diverse hair and makeup artists, and more leeway to work during long breaks between TV show seasons. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the Sixth Doctor, coming to you from the 6 Degrees world. It's time for another dose of news and analysis to keep you informed and entertained. So let's dive right in. In Iraq, a tragic fire at a wedding hall in Hamdania has claimed the lives of over 100 people and left 150 injured. This devastating incident is a reminder of the importance of fire safety measures and the need for proper investigations to prevent such tragedies in the future. Moving on to Hollywood, the writers' strike has finally come to an end after 148 days. The writers have emerged victorious with a new contract that includes higher pay rates, improved staffing, and protections regarding the use of artificial intelligence. This could set a precedent for the ongoing strike by actors who are also seeking better pay and working conditions. In sports news, the New York Liberty defeated the Connecticut Sun in Game 2 of the WNBA playoff semifinals, leveling the series at 1-1. Sabrina Ionescu and Betnijah Laney led the way for the Liberty, while Breanna Stewart struggled for the Sun. It's shaping up to be an exciting series, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Shifting gears to China, the country is betting on bamboo as an alternative to plastic. Sunlin Biotechnology is leading the way in manufacturing degradable bags and straws from bamboo, a rapidly growing and fully degradable material. While there are challenges in terms of manufacturing costs and public acceptance, China's efforts to reduce plastic consumption are commendable. Now, let's talk about the war in Ukraine, which has inadvertently become the world's largest arms fair. Manufacturers and militaries are closely observing the battlefield performance of weapons, leading to increased production and procurement decisions. It's a stark reminder of the consequences of armed conflicts and the impact they have on various industries. In the tech world, TikTok employees are expressing concerns about the app's ties to its Chinese parent company, ByteDance. The transfer of high-ranking executives from ByteDance to TikTok's U.S. operations has raised suspicions about the level of control exerted by the Chinese parent. With ongoing scrutiny from U.S. authorities, TikTok faces the challenge of proving its independence and protecting user data. Back to Canada, where the Toronto Blue Jays are making a late-season push for a wildcard spot. Despite a recent loss to the New York Yankees, the team remains confident and focused. Manager John Schneider acknowledges the challenges faced by the closer, Jordan Romano, but emphasizes the importance of having a short memory. The Blue Jays are on the verge of clinching a playoff berth, and fans are eagerly awaiting the outcome. In international relations, China's outreach to Syria is a significant development. While Western countries continue to ostracize Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, China sees an opportunity to establish itself as a counterweight in the Middle East. China's support for Assad is driven by concerns about the Arab Spring and the presence of Uyghur extremists in Syria. However, economic and financial engagement with Syria remains uncertain. Moving on to the case of journalist Evan Gershkovich, who has been detained in Russia on allegations of espionage since March. Friends and colleagues gathered at Bowdoin College to honor Gershkovich and call for his release. The U.S. government, the Wall Street Journal, and the Biden administration have all condemned his detention as wrongful, and efforts are underway to secure his release through diplomatic channels. In the world of politics, Alabama lawmakers have voted to move forward with the construction of a new state house to replace the current plagued with issues such as mold and chronic flooding. The proposed building will be located on a parking lot behind the existing state house, and the estimated cost is yet to be determined. It's a necessary step to ensure a safe and functional working environment for lawmakers and staff. The House Oversight Committee's subpoena for Hunter Biden's records has raised eyebrows. The committee has obtained wire transfers from Chinese nationals to Hunter Biden that listed President Joe Biden's Delaware home as the beneficiary address. While the wires do not prove that Joe Biden received any of the money, they add fuel to the ongoing controversy surrounding the Biden family's business dealings. In the world of sports, the Philadelphia Phillies secured a wild-card berth with a win over the Pittsburgh Pirates. Johan Rojas hit the game-winning RBI single in the 10th inning, sending the Phillies to the playoffs. It's an exciting time for the team and their fans, who are eagerly awaiting the postseason. Lastly, we have Oregon Governor Tina Kotek's directive to crack down on fentanyl distribution. Fentanyl, a synthetic opioid, is a leading cause of death in the U.S., and Governor Kotek's plans aim to disrupt the supply chain and hold sellers accountable. It's a crucial step in combating the opioid crisis and saving lives. That's all for today's news and analysis. I hope you've enjoyed this journey through the headlines. Now it's your turn to join the conversation. What are your thoughts on these stories? Do you have any questions for me? Let's hear what you have to say. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.